Hello future engineers and scientists. Welcome to your G-Main chemistry journey. Today, we are diving into the fascinating world of chemical thermodynamics, specifically focusing on the first law. This chapter is fundamental to understanding energy changes in all chemical and physical processes. We'll start with the basics, build up to complex concepts, and explore its competitive depth. Get ready for an exciting 4-level learning adventure. Ready to unlock the secrets of energy? Let's begin our journey with the easy level of the first law of thermodynamics. What exactly is energy? It's simply the capacity to do work. In chemistry, we are often interested in the internal energy of a system, which is the total energy stored within its molecules. To study this, we define a system as the part of the universe we are observing, like a reaction in a beaker. Everything else around it is the surroundings. Systems can be open, exchanging both matter and energy, closed, exchanging only energy, or isolated, exchanging neither. Think of a boiling pot of water, open if uncovered, closed if covered, and isolated if in a perfect thermos. The first law of thermodynamics is essentially the law of conservation of energy. It states that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed. Mathematically, for a closed system, the change in internal energy, delta U, is equal to the heat absorbed by the system, Q, plus the work done on the system, W. Remember the sign conventions, positive Q means heat absorbed, negative Q means heat released. Positive W means work done on the system, negative W means work done by the system. Internal energy is a state function, meaning its change only depends on the initial and final states, not the path taken. For example, if a system gains 100 joules of heat and 20 joules of work is done on it, its internal energy increases by 120 joules. Now, let's test your understanding with a few practice questions based on the easy concepts. Take your time to think about the definitions, system types, and the fundamental equation of the first law. Remember those crucial sign conventions for heat and work. Great job on the basics. Now, let's step up our game and explore the first law with more depth in our medium-level content. The first law, delta U is equal to Q plus W, is more than just a formula, it's a powerful statement of energy conservation. Internal energy, U, is a state function, meaning its change only depends on the initial and final conditions, not how the process happened. This is a key insight. Heat, Q, is energy transferred due to temperature differences. Remember, if a system absorbs heat, Q is positive. If it releases heat, Q is negative. These conventions are crucial for accurate calculations. Next, let's delve into work, specifically PV work, which is common in chemical systems involving gases. Work is energy transferred by force causing displacement. For expansion or compression of gases, work, W, is given by P_external times the change in volume, delta V. If the system expands, it does work, so W is negative. If work is done on the system, like compression, W is positive. Understanding this sign convention is vital for applying the first law correctly in problems. Finally, we introduce enthalpy, H, a very useful state function, especially for processes occurring at constant pressure, which is common in many lab experiments. Enthalpy is defined as U plus PV. At constant pressure, the change in enthalpy, delta H, is equal to the heat exchanged, Q_P. This makes delta H a convenient measure of heat for constant pressure reactions. We also learned how delta H relates to delta U through the change in moles of gas. Delta N_G. Practice the example calculation to solidify your understanding of these concepts. Time to apply your medium-level understanding. These questions will involve calculations of internal energy, heat, and work, along with the introduction of enthalpy. Pay close attention to the conditions of each problem, such as constant pressure or constant volume, and remember your sign conventions for Q and W. Ready for a deeper dive? Let's tackle the hard level, where we'll explore the first law in more complex scenarios and theoretical connections. The first law behaves differently depending on the process. In an isochoric process, volume is constant, so no PV work is done, and delta U simply equals the heat exchanged at constant volume, Q_V. In an isobaric process, pressure is constant, and heat exchanged is delta H. For an isothermal process at constant temperature, delta U for an ideal gas is 0, meaning Q equals negative W. Finally, in an adiabatic process, no heat is exchanged, so delta U equals the work done. Each process simplifies the first law in a unique and important way. Understanding the difference between reversible and irreversible work is crucial. Irreversible work, like expansion against a constant external pressure, is straightforward to calculate but does not yield maximum work. Reversible work, occurring infinitesimally slowly, allows for maximum work output by the system during expansion, calculated using the integral form, nRT ln, V_f_V_I. This distinction is vital for understanding efficiency. We also introduced heat capacities, C_P and C_V, which relate heat to temperature change at constant pressure and volume, respectively. For ideal gases, they are related by Mayer's relation, C_P, C_V is equal to R. Finally, Kirchhoff's equation allows us to determine how enthalpy change varies with temperature. If you know the standard enthalpy change at one temperature and the heat capacities of reactants and products, you can calculate the enthalpy change at another temperature. This is incredibly useful for predicting reaction behavior at different conditions. The first law underpins all these derivations, ensuring energy conservation is always maintained, even in these more complex scenarios. It's the bedrock of thermochemistry. Now, it's time to challenge yourself with these hard-level questions. You'll need to apply your understanding of different thermodynamic processes, reversible and irreversible work, heat capacities, and Kirchhoff's equation. These problems often require multi-step thinking and careful application of formulas and concepts. Good luck! You've mastered the hard concepts. Now, let's push the boundaries even further into the hardest level, exploring competitive depth and real-world engineering insights of the first law. At a microscopic level, internal energy is the sum of all kinetic and potential energies of the particles within a system. For ideal gases, it's mainly kinetic energy from translation, rotation, and vibration. For real substances, intermolecular forces add potential energy. Understanding this microscopic view helps us grasp why internal energy is a state function. We also delved into adiabatic processes for ideal gases, deriving the key relationship PV gamma equals constant, and how to calculate work done in such processes. This derivation is a classic competitive exam problem and shows the power of combining the first law with ideal gas behavior. The Joule-Thomson effect is a fascinating application of isenthalpic expansion, where a gas changes temperature upon passing through a porous plug. This effect is critical for gas liquefaction. We introduced the Joule-Thomson coefficient, which quantifies this temperature change, and the concept of inversion temperature, where the gas transitions from cooling to heating upon expansion. This is a real-world engineering phenomenon with significant industrial applications. It shows how the first law, combined with real gas behavior, leads to practical outcomes. The first law is the foundation for analyzing thermodynamic cycles, which are sequences of processes that return a system to its initial state. For any cycle, the net heat equals the net work. Think of the Carnot cycle, which, while an idealization, sets the upper limit for efficiency in converting heat to work. This principle is applied in designing everything from power plants to refrigerators, ensuring energy balance throughout their operation. The first law is the first step in understanding how these complex machines work. While powerful, the first law has limitations. It doesn't tell us if a process is spontaneous or in which direction it will proceed. For example, heat naturally flows from hot to cold, but the first law wouldn't forbid it flowing from cold to hot if energy were conserved. These limitations lead us to the second law of thermodynamics, which introduces entropy and the concept of spontaneity. However, the first law remains indispensable, forming the basis for energy balance calculations in diverse fields like chemical engineering, power generation, and even biological metabolism. Alright, it's time for the ultimate challenge. These first 5 hardest level questions will test your deep understanding, problem-solving skills, and ability to derive and apply complex thermodynamic relationships. Focus on the adiabatic process derivations, Joule-Thomson effect concepts, and critical thinking about the first law's implications. Take your time, these require precision. Continuing with the hardest questions, here are the next 5. These problems demand a comprehensive grasp of the first law, its applications in various processes, and its connections to real-world phenomena and engineering principles. Think critically about the limitations of the first law and how it sets the stage for further thermodynamic concepts. Good luck! And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the first law of thermodynamics for GME. We've covered everything from basic definitions to advanced derivations and real-world applications. To continue your learning journey and explore more such comprehensive educational content, visit synapse.omaps.in. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more amazing content. Keep learning, keep exploring, and keep excelling. See you in the next session.